What's up, guys? Today I'm going to talk to you about how to be successful with tracking your macros and sticking to the If It Fits Your Macros diet. First, don't change anything during week 1 of eating this way. Just track what you've been doing. Let's create a baseline of your typical habits. You can take up to 3 weeks of creating a baseline just so we can see what your defaults are in terms of meal selection and total calories and protein, carbs, and fats. Once we see that baseline, then we can start to build and modify as we go. But completely revamping your diet and trying to track and change everything is going to be overwhelming. It's going to take away what you love about food in general and try to replace it with things that you don't like and behaviors that you don't want to stick to. It's going to be way harder to create habits under those situations. Change one meal at a time, just one. So we created this baseline and we saw that we're overeating in proteins, carbs, or fats at this particular meal. We'll start focusing on just changing that meal. We don't have to be hitting perfect macros right out of the gate. We're going to take the time to experiment with ourselves and learn a little bit. Choose breakfast. Let's modify breakfast so that those macros support what we want to do and what the behaviors are that we have for the rest of the day. Swap portions first, then foods. So let's say I like eating a burger and fries every single day for lunch, and that's my go-to. While a burger and fries might not be the most ideal healthy choice, we're going to make it fit our macros. Looking at the protein, carbs, and fats coming from that particular meal, instead of swapping things out entirely, you can stick to that behavior. You just swap the portion sizes of it. So you cut back on some of the carbs in that meal and increase some of the protein somehow. You can cut your fries in half and drink a protein shake to make it fit more towards the macros that you want to consume. Then you swap entire foods. So maybe French fries aren't going to be supportive for you there because it's so high in carbohydrates. Let's do something that's going to be a little bit lower to fit our macros throughout the rest of the day. This is going to be really important for you to go back and forth with your coach on how to do that effectively. But don't feel like you have to swap tons of things really, really quickly. Build it up slowly so that your behaviors don't have to change too much, but you're still in the numbers that you want to hit. Track consistently. You have to continue to track. We need to see what you're doing and how those decisions are impacting you. What your baselines are, what your defaults are, what helps you be successful and maintain, and what causes you to fall off the wagon. Those behaviors will show up in the numbers all the time. And if the coach can see those numbers, they can coach you through that. Don't weigh in too often. Different things are going to impact your weight loss. It's going to be up and down. And if you're eating within your macros, but you choose something that's not considered healthy by traditional standards, but it does fit your macros, but you weigh in the next day and your scale's up, you're going to eliminate that food in general. Say, hey, it's okay to eat rice as long as your carbs are within the right category. You eat rice, you step on the scale, the weight's up a pound, you freak out about rice. But that's not really it. Don't mistake correlation with causation. Just because the weight went up doesn't mean there was something in particular that you can create an association for a cause and make it the enemy, which is going to cause you problems later. Weigh in once a week or once every other week and be slow and patient with it. Don't assume exercise allows for more carbs. The macros that we gave you account for the amount of exercise that you're currently doing. And exercise does not burn as many calories as you might think. Just because you went and you did an hour of cardio doesn't mean you can double down on the amount of carbohydrates and justify it for that exercise. Stick to the macros that we gave you. Yes, you're going to continue to train, but you're going to continue to fit it within what we told you. Don't overtrain, and don't think that you have to do tons and tons of hours of cardio, and don't think that more exercise gives you more food. Learn to make the food work for you. These rules are super simple. If it fits your macros, has tons of freedom. You just need to track, take good notes, and be consistent and communicate with your coach. Eat pizza, eat whatever you want, eat waffles for breakfast. I love that part, as long as you're tracking it. Create that baseline. Change one meal at a time by swapping portions, not foods, to get it closer to the macros that you want so you don't make too great of changes. Don't weigh in too often. Track every single thing that you do, both food and weight, and don't assume that exercise is going to give you a lot of freedom. That's if it fits your macros. Eat the foods that you're doing, look at those numbers. It's all going to break down to the exact same thing. Ask tons of questions to me, all the other coaches. We'll answer them in the live Q&A and in this Facebook group. Do the work.